If you're a survivor of violence and are ready to get control of your life again, you're in the right place at the right time. This is the Survivors to Thrivers podcast with your host, Cranford Blackman. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LaBCaF Survivors to Thrivers podcast. I'm your host and the creator of the LaBCaF Self-Protection Program, Cranford Blackman. And today, in episode 5, we're going to talk about the thing that we hear will make us safer. It's situational awareness. But guess what? It will do a lot more than just make us safer. But we're going to get into that in a bit. First, let's get a general understanding of just what the heck is situational awareness. Now, if you remember in episode 4, I told you that mindset is the most important factor in being safe, with situational awareness coming in a very close second place. So today, I want you to get an understanding of what situational awareness is and why it's so very important. But both mindset and situational awareness are both usable and necessary for far more than safety. Having listened to my very first 3 podcasts, you already know that my goal for my podcast program is to help every person who has suffered from violence of any kind in their life to get back to a place of self-confidence and personal safety, and to get back in control of their life. Well, if you're a violence survivor, then you are probably well aware of what it is to lose those things. Now, for sure, some survivors can get back there on their own, and to them, I say a big congratulations. But the vast majority of us who are survivors of violence need some help getting back. We might be able to put on a good show so that others don't see our stress and our challenges, the ones that are still lingering from what happened to us, but we still have the pain, the fear, and the anxiety to deal with on the inside. Now, luckily, we can turn to each other for support and for understanding. The support I want to offer is to take the many skills I've learned to survive and overcome obstacles and enemies, to take those skills and transform them into skills that you can use to fight your way back to the life you deserve to have. A life of safety without paranoia. A life of prosperity, happiness, and better relationships. You know, I always think it is so funny when I tell people what I do, and that I use military and anti-terror skills to help people be safe, find some emotional stability, be more successful, more prosperous, and to have better personal relationships, and even better romantic relationships. You know, it's easy for them to understand the safety and self-defense parts of what I do, but when I mention all the other parts, they get that look that a confused dog does when you start making funny noises at them. You know, that head-turning, lost look. Well, it's funny, but sometimes it's kind of sad too. It's sad because some of those people immediately go to their mental place that says, "Oh, that's stupid. That'll never work." And so they walk away from the ideas, skills, and new understandings that could change their life for the better. You know as well as me that people can only learn when they are ready to learn. So for those of you listening to me now, I am so grateful that you are ready and hungry for a better life, that you are determined to climb out of the darkness that was forced on you by whatever violence or personal violation happened to you. Your path to personal success starts with mindset. But the incredible and amazingly flexible tool we call situational awareness will be instrumental in moving you along your path to self-confidence, personal safety, financial prosperity, and yes, even better relationships. So what exactly is situational awareness? I want to share a little clip from a commercial we did a while back for the LaBCaF classes, just to get you started. Here, take a listen to this.
Awareness, awareness, awareness. Ugh, I don't even know what that means.
What are you talking about?
Every time something bad happens to a woman or a group of people, all the so-called experts on TV just keep saying, be more aware.
Well, I suppose that's true, right?
I don't know. No one ever tells us how to be more aware, what to be aware of, or what to do when we become aware of something. It's not like we all have police or military training.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know how to be more aware either.
This is Penny from LaBCaF. Being told what to do for your safety, but not how to do it, can be frustrating, like trying to cook using a photo instead of a recipe. Awareness really is the basis of safety.
And by the way, Penny, that you just heard, that's my lovely wife. And you'll be hearing from her in another episode about how this awareness training has affected her. All right, how about that? I love that commercial. Now, you may have at times felt like the girls in the clip when you hear situational awareness. I have to do air quotes around that, situational awareness. But you know, we can fix that feeling. By the way, it's very important to remember that what we're talking about, what I'm teaching, isn't just for women. Although we know women are far more likely to experience sexual or domestic violence, men experience them too, and men are far more likely to never report it. So what I'm teaching is for all of us who have suffered at the hands of another. We all have the right to be safe and happy. I'm sure that none of you would argue that with me, right? Right. All right. Back to knowing just exactly what situational awareness is and how to do it. Now, like the girls in the commercial, for most people, situational awareness is not a very common term. Now, in the world of public safety and military operations, it is very common. Oh, there's my dog barking. The men and the women in those professions, public safety, law enforcement, the military, they are charged with stepping into situations where injury and death are not only possible, but many times they're likely. They must know and understand and practice situational awareness. That's why it's included in their training. It keeps them alive. But what about the other 7.9 billion people on the earth who don't get situational awareness training? Well, I probably can't reach all 7.9 billion of those people, but I tell you what, I intend to teach as many as possible about this simple but powerful skill that can help save your life, your job, and even your marriage. How about that? So what the heck is it? Is it just paying more attention? Well, that would be a drastic, almost criminal oversimplification. That would be like saying that William Shakespeare or J.K. Rowling just write words. Is it basically true? Sure it is. But it is so much more than just that. Now, in the next episode, I'll start getting into the nitty-gritty of how to buff up your awareness muscles, including some simple but powerful exercises you can do to become more aware in every situation, and you can do it without feeling paranoid. And that's a nice plus. I mean, who likes being paranoid, right? Right. But for now, let's talk about some of the places in your everyday life that situational awareness can help you. The topic that we most hear connected to situational awareness is personal safety. So let's do that one first. As much as you may absolutely refuse to admit it, you probably spend the majority of your day oblivious to what's going on around you. Now, that's not me accusing you of being inattentive. That's just me telling the truth. And as much as I hate to admit it, I also get sucked into inattentiveness as well. So there's a lot going on all the time. You have the baby to take care of, the car repair to make, the report to read, the report to write, the class to focus on, or the incredibly wonderful and engaging podcast to listen to, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, the meal to cook, and so on. There's a lot going on. There are most certainly things you do in your everyday life that require your full attention, and that's okay. That's just a part of life. When you're bathing that infant, learning to shoot a pistol, trying to do a flambe as part of your cooking for the first time, climbing on the roof to get the kids' frisbee, you need to give that stuff your full attention. But you can also learn to do what I call attention switching and passive awareness, which will help even when you're engaged in something else. Now, we're going to cover passive awareness in another episode. But attention switching is a way to be situationally aware even when you are fully engaged in something else. You see, our mind and the nerves that are the highway that pass information from our sensory organs to our amazing brain is unbelievably fast. We can take in and process tons of information in only fractions of a second. This is why attention switching can be so very effective at supporting your situational awareness. Okay, Cran, I'm sure you're asking me this right now. This is you asking me. Okay, I'll use a different accent so you know it's you. Okay, Cran, how do you do it? Right? Okay, apparently all of you are English, I guess. Anyway, okay, so how do we do that? You can do an attention switching awareness update in about 1 second or less. All you do is pause your focused attention for a very short moment to allow all of your body's sensory tools to get a clear pathway to your brain. You don't have to think about anything. It's actually better if you don't, and I'll explain that in a minute or two. All of your functioning senses are always on. I mean functioning senses because some of you listening to me may have lost some sensory abilities, like maybe you have visual problems, for instance. But everything that's working is constantly working. It's always on and always passing information to your brain. But when you're hyper-focused on something, all the stuff, all the input your body is receiving gets less brain priority than what you're consciously focusing on. So, when you take that 1 second pause in what you're focusing on, you allow all that other sensory input to get back into the priority spot so that your awareness can basically make an ultra-fast awareness update. Okay, real quick about that, why it's better not to think thing. So here's the thing. Your conscious mind and your subconscious mind work in different ways. Your conscious mind is what you're using when you're thinking words. You know, you're thinking, wow, that is a good-looking fellow over there. He looks like Magnum PI. And for you young people, Magnum PI was a guy on TV. Really good-looking fellow, right? So anyway, you know, you're thinking that actively, but it is so much slower than what your subconscious does. Your subconscious says, something's dangerous, I need to move, or I see something flying at my head, I'm going to duck. You don't have to think about that. It just happens very quickly. And that's why when you're taking that pause for your attention switching, you don't actually want to be thinking any words, because thinking words actually slows down your process. Just have a quiet mind just for that second. Let your subconscious do the work, okay? Now, I'm certainly not saying to stop paying attention to the baby you're bathing. I'm just saying that you can relax, not shut off your hyper-focus for just a brief instant to let all that other information you're receiving get up to your brain's CPU system. Now, this will really make a lot of sense in our next episode, okay? So don't miss that. You know, an example of this that most of you will probably be able to identify with is this. You know how when you're driving and you're focused on driving safely, as you always do, right? Okay, you're focused on driving safely, but even more so when, say the weather is bad, or you've got a car full of children. And then suddenly you hear a clunk or a thunk or an odd noise in the car. What do? You know, you might not even realize that you do this, but you switch your attention and your sensory awareness to your vehicle and its surroundings. You don't stop focusing on driving safely, but you have unconsciously opened up to receiving more sensory input to ensure that you, your passengers, and your vehicle are still safe. So without having to lose focus on driving safely, you are suddenly more aware of any odd sounds your vehicle is making, any vibrations you're feeling in the vehicle, any warning lights that are coming on, and anything around or in the path of your vehicle that's moving, you're going to be more aware of it all of a sudden. You didn't stop driving safely. You were still focused on doing that. But because of the thump you heard or felt, you switched part of your attention to receiving other information so that you could almost immediately determine if there was a problem or a danger that was presenting itself to you and the other people in your car. Now, you did all of that without thinking words. You didn't have to start talking to yourself saying, hey, I wonder what that was. I wonder if it was a tire going flat, or maybe my flux capacitor ruptured, or maybe some other blah, 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 right? In fact, the very opposite probably happened. Whatever you were thinking about, doing air quotes around thinking now, whatever you were consciously thinking about probably stopped immediately so that you could receive and process all that other sensory information. It happened so fast that you didn't stop driving safely, but you were suddenly aware of far more that was going on. That is attention switching. Now, you can also do that in a conscious way, like when you're climbing that ladder to get the frisbee off the roof. You're not going to stop focusing on the dangerous activity you're doing. But before you get on the ladder, or before you get back on the ladder from the roof, you give yourself a brief attention switch to let all your other senses flood in so you can get up and back down without getting injured. Because becoming aware of the sound of your ladder sliding, whether it's on the ground or against the house, is much better if it happens before you've climbed all the way onto the ladder, right? Well, it looks like I went way off track there with all that about attention switching, but at least you know about the ultra-fast attention switch now. You and I both know you'll never be able to have a 100% full awareness of everything going on around you, right? That can't work. It's just not possible. Now, what is possible is that you can be more aware in more situations, that you can learn to consciously turn up your awareness level when you need to. And you'll also learn to catch yourself when you are being dangerously inattentive so that you can refocus and get your attention back where it needs to be. Okay, back to the things in your everyday life that a greater awareness can help with. In the instance of personal safety, we can think of instances like our previous examples of driving or climbing a ladder onto the roof. But there's other stuff. And there are always external factors that can affect what we're doing. A windy day can really change your experience when you're on a ladder or when you're driving, whether it's a bike or a car or a boat or an aircraft. A whole lot of wind can really change your day. I think you would agree that environmental conditions are very much worth being aware of. But another key issue in personal safety, and for those of us who are violence survivors, this is probably at the very top of our personal safety list. It's safety from someone intending to do us harm. Now, as many of you know, that word harm can mean much, much more than just physical injury. A strong sense of awareness and situational awareness can help us to realize when someone is dangerous before they actually present a danger to us. It can also help us see a dangerous situation developing, even if it's not aimed directly at us. For example, an armed robbery in a convenience store is probably going to happen up close to the cash register. Now, if you notice that's going on, that robbery, before you enter the store or before you approach the register with your Diet Pepsi and chocolate donuts, you are much more likely to avoid becoming involved in the incident and thereby avoiding injury of yourself or the niece that you were taking care of that day, or any child that's with you, or any person that's with you. Now, the earlier you can identify a dangerous person or situation, the more time it gives you to take the actions that can protect you and those who are with you. Whether that means hiding during a robbery or escaping from an unhealthy relationship before it becomes violent. The earlier you figure out that it's dangerous, the easier it is and the more options you have for getting out of that situation. Well, look at that. I've actually brought us to another topic where situational awareness can help us. It's relationships. Yeah, this is one of those where people look at me and go, you're really going to talk about relationships with situational awareness and self-defense moves? You better believe it. I think I could probably do an entire episode on relationships and awareness, believe it or not. So I won't go too deeply into this right now. Let's just say relationships generically. That means friends, coworkers, family members, and even romantic relationships. Now, guys, and I mean the males listening to me here, don't be offended by what I'm about to say. But women have a much greater sensitivity to emotional changes. Now, ladies, that means you have a natural gift in detecting emotions or vibes that someone is giving off. But that doesn't mean you're always good at it. Learning to enhance and sharpen your awareness can make your natural gift close to a superpower. And fellas, we can all certainly benefit by learning to be more aware of energetic or emotional changes, whether it's in a coworker, your daughter, your spouse, or that fun person that you met at a party. A greater awareness can really support a positive relationship or the clarity that something is really not quite right. Before I get totally lost in all the possibilities of relationships, let's keep moving. Oh, but before I do, I would love to hear about your experiences with people and how you've noticed something either good or bad that could have really impacted your life if you hadn't noticed it. Either tell me about it in the comments or send it to me at cranford@labcaf.com, okay? I really want to hear your stories. Now, I mentioned coworkers a time or two already, so let's talk about how awareness can also be helpful at your job or with your own business if you're a business owner. This is another topic I could probably do an entire episode on, so again, I'm not going to get into it too deeply today, okay? But let me know in the comments if you would like me to do a business and awareness podcast sooner rather than later. Remember that we are all the LaBCaF tribe, which means we work together to grow, right? So we talk to each other. Let me know what it is you want to hear. Alrighty then, if you're an employee, regardless of what level you're on, awareness can help you move in a positive direction within your company or even outside of it. Whether you are the new guy at the very bottom of the company ladder, or maybe you're the regional vice president of marketing technologies, there are always things going on around you that affect your job, the jobs that are higher than yours, or the company in general. Now, I'm sure that all of you know there are 3 ways to move up the ladder of success. First, there's the honest, positive, and supportive way. Second is the dishonest, mean, sneaky, and cutthroat way. And third is the plain old dumb luck of being in the right place at the right time. Now, since number 3 relies on events that are outside of your control, dumb luck, I'm going to skip that one. Remember, part of what the LaBCaF tribe is doing is helping us create a sense of control within ourselves and our environment. So we're skipping stuff about dumb luck. Number 2 is what criminals, jerks, and losers do. We're going to skip that one too. It's not what I want in my life or in the people I interact with. And I bet you feel the very same way. Yay, LaBCaF tribe. So that leaves us with number 1. The way to be important and useful, rather than just another cog in the wheel, is to make things better. You make things better for the customers, or for your department, or for the company as a whole. And you do that by either fixing problems or by increasing the positives of your company. But you can't do that if you're so engrossed that you don't see the many, many opportunities that are always there waiting to be acted on. And for some people, you might actually work for a company that is built on the things from number 2 we talked about earlier. Dishonesty, using people, lying, and so on. But if you don't have an awareness of what's going on around you, a loyal, honest, and trustworthy person may get caught up in supporting a less than trustworthy company. I know that's happened to me before. Doing my darndest to help everybody, the customers and the people, and it turned out the company was actually kind of doing over the customers and us salespeople. Needless to say, I did not stay once I found out. Finally, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, you're probably very focused on keeping your business operating and doing it profitably. But as you know, the landscape of the business world, including changes in customer desires, supplier issues, and regulations, can and does constantly change. You might be an honorable person with a much needed product or service, but without knowing how you need to adjust to keep meeting your customers' needs and your company's needs, you're not going to be in business very long, right? Learning awareness skills can not only help you stay in business, but to stay profitable, and even help you become a leader in your area or your industry. And that never hurts a business. A strong sense of awareness can really help you increase the positives while decreasing the negatives in these three areas we just talked about. I'm talking about the field of personal safety, the field of relationships, and your employment or business, which can directly relate to your financial well-being, which can also affect your happiness. Well, there now. I hope you can see that learning and strengthening your situational awareness skills can help you do much more than avoid being mugged. A strong sense of awareness can help you find great new opportunities, as well as keep you out of trouble and out of harm's way. It can also help you drastically increase your creativity. But that's a topic for another podcast. And I bet some of you want to hear that, as many books on creativity as I see in the bookstore. The LaBCaF tribe, which is made up of me and all of you who want to be safer, happier, and more successful, which is definitely me, will be far more effective if we connect together as a community rather than me just talking at you. So leave me a comment or send me an email. Let me know what you learned today, what really stuck with you, and what you'd like to hear more of. Then, please share this podcast with someone you care about who may not have any clue that we exist, that there's all this information that I'm putting out here for you to learn how to be safer, to move from survivor to thriver. Because we really want those people who are close to us, whether they've been in a violent experience or not, to be able to move into a world of thriving rather than just surviving. So, until next time, as we keep moving from survivors to thrivers, this is Cranford Blackman reminding you to stay safe and stay strong. To make sure you never miss an episode of Survivors to Thrivers podcast, subscribe at LaBCaF.com.